What is the difference between being punk and being a punk?
We are here to talk some punk rock, some music, comics,
Punk culture, DIY shit, anything we want to talk about.
That's what fascinates me. Give me everything. Absolutely everything.
I find that music and comics have always been intertwined.
Muckspout.
Chicks dig it. Don't worry.
Oh, welcome to Muckspout. Today we got John with us and Chuck down below. And we're going to do something different where we kind of talk about an album that's, what's the anniversary? 30th anniversary of this album. And it's a semi-controversial album, as the band it was a very controversial decision for this band to step into the pros with this album. And as it says, it is the landmark 1994 album Dookie. So.
And the goodies with this one were abounding. If anybody got this box set that Eric was just holding up, it is ridiculous. It's got so many goodies in there. How many? So is it 7?
Oh, it's a special limited numbered limited edition. I didn't even know that. So it's 7 LPs, 65 tracks. You got the original Dookie album, 17 unreleased demos, 6 studio outtakes. 3 of them were previously unreleased. You got the Woodstock 94, and then 2 of the LPs are live in Barcelona from 94. Then you got the 36-page book. You have a Dookie air freshener, Dookie dog poop bags, a button set, some magnets, and a slew of other things that we'll tear through this and find. So, anybody have any Dookie stories? Well, Dookie album stories?
A couple, actually. That for me, that summer I was away at camp all summer. I was working as a camp counselor, and when I left, I had never heard of Green Day. They weren't really a thing. No one knew about them, and then while I was gone, Woodstock happened. But of course, I wasn't around for that. Again, I'm stuck at this summer camp where all you can listen to is Christian rock. So I didn't get to hear anything, and then I come back and Green Day is the biggest band on the planet, and I haven't heard a damn song by them, and everyone's just like, "Oh my gosh, you don't know Green Day?" And I'm like, God, dude, I was gone for like 6 weeks. What are you talking about? Like, how do I feel like? And so it was huge, and then of course I started listening, and that album all the way through. It's one of the there's not a lot of albums out there where you really could just pick it up and listen to it all the way through, but that one's pretty much banger after banger for the most part, all the way through. And once I got to watch it and I saw their live performance at Woodstock, I was like, all right, cool. These guys are good. And I liked it so much that I even got somebody to do a picture of it that is actually from my comic.
I did that.
Awesome.
I didn't even ask you to do it. You just did it. And I was like, that's awesome. Yes.
Hey, while you're already here, why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe? And if there's a bell on your screen, click that bitch so we can keep doing this shit.
Yeah. For me, actually, Dookie is pretty much what drew me more into punk rock. Like before Green Day and like Offspring and like when pop punk kind of started blowing up, I was They Might Be Giants or REM, like kind of college rock. Nirvana and all that was going on right before then. So it was, some of that, but like every morning it would be like Green Day Basket Case on MTV, followed by Offspring Self-Esteem, and they hooked me. My parents hated that, but that was also part of the right?
I forgot you're a little younger than I am, so it's you said your parents, and I'm like, I was well out of the house by then, so just trying to remember where I was. probably living at UMass at the time, and I remember, like, I knew Longview. I think that was their lead single off of that. And that was
I
about
missed
it.
that one because
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't on the radio very much, but MTV is where I got hit.
Yeah, I think we just had like MTV on a lot in the background at the house. I lived with like 4 other guys, and so that one was on rotation. And then I went to Woodstock '94 with a group of people, and it was just insanity. And it was just so that morning we had a big rainstorm, and everybody was like just rolling around in the mud if you were high as fuck, like everybody was. And they were just, so everybody was covered in mud. So there were, you got quickly separated into the mud people and everyone else. And it was like that, the Green Day set was, they were surrounded by the mud people, and people were flinging the sod at them and everything.
I remember watching that on TV.
Yeah, and there was that legendary thing where was it Billy Joe that caught it in his mouth, caught a piece of turf in his mouth. And I was just like, I remember seeing that live and just going, knowing what the conditions were with, like, some of that mud was from overturned porta potties and stuff. And I'm just like, oh God, he's going to die. Like, he's got that in his mouth and he is going to die. No, obviously he did not. But
the first time I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a handful of years ago, they had the Woodstock. It was the Woodstock anniversary, one of them. And one of the first things they had on display was actually Billy Joe Armstrong's shoes from that performance.
Oh my God!
Still caked in mud, so still filled with Dookie.
Oh yeah, that was just frightening to see.
That was pretty cool.
I had forgotten. I was like reading a little account of it, and I had totally forgotten about Mike Dirnt getting like beat up on by one of the security guys because they thought he had jumped on stage with a bunch of the other folks.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, no, he's with the band. Please don't knock his teeth out. So yeah, I had totally forgotten because obviously 30 years is a long fucking time. So
was that the first time you saw Green Day?
Yes, I saw that was what clinched it. Like I said, I'd only seen Longview so far, and then like everyone else in the world, if you were at that show or heard about that show, you immediately went out and bought Dookie, and it was just there was no turning back from there. It was one of those seminal albums. And I remember like seeing the box set coming up for the 30th anniversary and thinking, that's way too much. Why would I pay that much? And I'm like,
yeah.
But then it your brain almost turns off and your finger hits by before you realize it, because it was such a just big part of my music formative years.
And it was everybody listened to it too. Like I remember I had a copy in my book bag in my social studies class in high school, because I'm much younger than you, John. I remember I sat next to like one of like the jocks, and he noticed it sticking out of my bag a little bit, a CD, and I think he was ready to pull it out and make fun of me. But he pulled it out and then he flicked it over and showed it to like his other jock buddy that was next to him, and that guy was like, "That's pretty cool, actually."
Don't beat that kid up. He's okay.
And that's how Green Day saved me.
Yeah. So then the teacher came over and took it away, and I had to wait till after class to get it back. I was like,
oh. It's funny because Longview, I think, was actually probably bigger in Canada than it was in the U.S. because it didn't really hit for us. It's much music. It didn't hit much music until after Basket Case had blown up, become big, and so really in Canada, that was the second song to make it big.
Yeah.
And so that one came out later. So it's kind of funny that for you guys, Longview came first, but for us, it was afterwards.
Yeah, I think, and that's the way I remember it. But again, 30 years is a long goddamn time. So who knows? But yeah, it was just ridiculous how much fun that album was. And there we go. We get the pins. Those would have been on my if I was still in high school, those would have been on my denim jacket with 500 other heavy metal bands. So I looked like I had a flak jacket, and I probably could have fended off a bullet attack at some point. But
Yeah, they're kind of cool. They're like they are kind of what they would have been back then. They're not like super polished or like, you know, they don't look like, you know, a big company put them out.
Were they made with a little hand press?
Yeah, probably.
Probably not. Yeah.
Chuck, actually, you'll appreciate this piece.
Oh yeah, I love that song so much.
I remember talking to you about that. That's why when we were talking about just going through this set, I was like, you know what? Me and Chuck have had some conversations about this album. I should see if he wants to join us.
Yeah, I mean, I think I told you that my wife and I, Wendy, we were going to, we were trying to open a comic shop at one point, and we really wanted it to sort of be like a haven for everybody. And the first song that we were going to play when people came in was "Welcome to Paradise."
Perfect.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a song. You know, I don't know if we're going to be going into all of the songs later or not, but
Yeah, we can.
oh, okay. But that song, I feel like, is a song that any 17, 18-year-old kid who's planning on moving out on their own needs to listen to. Because it really is just like, hey, I moved out on my own and holy crap, it's shit. But holy shit, it's actually pretty great too. Like, the shit can be really great, and it doesn't really hide the fact that life is fucking tough when you're out on your own for your first time, but it's your life now, and that makes it paradise.
Yeah. Cool.
And I'd say my takeaway after I've had to kind of give it a quick listen through and refresh myself on some of the deeper tracks on this thing, and just between Longview and the hidden track, the All by Myself track, I'm like,
yeah.
for a real, the first album that anybody's going to know by a band, to have it have two masturbation centric songs right on their first big album, chef's kiss. That was just
right,
beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, isn't that how you get the teen demographic? Is just like, hey, let's do two Whack-It songs. All right, great, they'll love that.
Yeah.
I remember laughing my ass off about that one a lot.
Yeah. I remember that
never play it. You would wait that minutes or whatever.
They used to play all by myself. They'd switch the instruments around and stuff. They'd play it live in those first couple album tours, and it was just fucking hilarious seeing Trey singing that, and it was just a riot. And I think I probably knew it more from that than I did from, because what was it, like the hidden track on?
Yeah, you had a weird 6-minute wait or something.
Yeah, so I think I might have even missed that when the first couple listens, because you're just like, if you're not paying attention to the timer on the thing, you forget.
Right.
So
I think that became more of a thing after that. Like, I think that was one of the first bigger hidden tracks.
Yeah. So
I think I actually noticed it because I had the tape. And so you get to the end of what you think is the end, you flip it over, and you're like well into another song, and you're like, wait a second, that doesn't make it. Why do they have all this space? And so you go back on the other side, and you're like, oh crap, oh that's cool.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, I think somebody that I knew already had listened to it and told me before, so I don't think I discovered that one.
Yeah, like I said, I might very well have discovered it live before I discovered it on the album, but it was.
Although FOD is one of my favorite songs on that album, so it could very well be that I noticed that it was a long track because I played that one a lot.
Yeah, and although one of the things before I forget about it, I did look at one of the demo tracks that they had on there. I was like, that wasn't on Dookie, right? It was the JAR song.
Yeah.
That one was on the Angus soundtrack originally, and I'm like, oh, cool. So maybe that was originally supposed to be on Dookie. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was. I think I heard about that when that album came out, Angus. that it was left over from Dookie.
Outtake. Yep.
Yeah. And
Well, that's just like Welcome to Paradise was originally on the album before on Kerplunk.
Kerplunk, yeah.
Yep.
And they and I'm glad that they did that because it gave it a second life, and I think a lot of people really dug that song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the reason we are taping tonight instead of the other night is we started discussing very early. Eric mentioned the other song. What was it? That was it.
Basket Case.
Yes, Basket Case. It had completely different lyrics than the version that everyone knows, and I was just like, all right, maybe we need a little bit of time to actually listen to these songs a little better so that we can properly discuss this, because that was a completely different take.
That was really cool. Like I've always loved hearing early versions of songs and checking out the evolution from playing it live to demoing it to putting on an album. Sometimes like with Welcome to Paradise, putting on a second album. And like Basket Case, I had heard a demo of it before. Like there's been a demo floating around forever, but I've never heard that in my life. And for it to be like night and day, like and like it's not they've discussed the writing of Basket Case before, and like how it's like about like I don't know, schizophrenia or whatever, like his anxiety. He has anxiety issues, which is like everybody, but he so they like talked about like how like they were like super high and wrote the lyrics to that song, but nobody ever mentioned that it was an entirely other song before. It's weird. Like,
usually you expect like maybe one verse to be different or part of the chorus, but it was the whole damn song was a completely different song. So that was kind of a revelation. It was cool.
I also when the first time I heard Basket Case, and for that first period of time, it hit really hard. Like, it starts kind of slow, and then once those drums kick and everything pops in, that song's just going, and it goes all the way through, and it's energetic. I felt like the demo version was a very neutered version of it. Like whole time I'm like, I'm ready to jump in, and I'm like, there's nowhere to jump in on this track. They didn't do that. Yeah. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, it's cool to hear the other version, the demo version.
Yeah, it's not better.
Fuck, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm really glad we got the version we did. It's significantly better. It's cool for history's sake, but what we got was light speed, like just so far ahead.
Yeah. So me and John were talking about doing this, and we were actually ready to do this, like he said the other night. And then I just kind of played that for him because I realized he hadn't listened to the demos yet. And then he was like, "Are there any other ones like that?" And I was like, "I don't think so, but maybe we want to do a deeper dive on that before we actually go and talk."
Yeah, and it seems like that was the only one that was.
That was the only one like that, but in the end, it was really like a funny. Like it was slow and it was kind of funny compared to the final version. But I think one of my biggest surprises on there was Hashinka. I always loved that song on Nimrod. And that was cool to see that it was like it existed. I don't even know what year Nimrod came out, but that's one of my favorites. And Hashinka has always been one of my favorites on there. So to know that it was like there and like probably what those demos were probably recorded in like 93, like that was cool.
Nimrod was 97, it looks like.
Okay. Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, they put out like Insomniac came out really quick after this one, and so that makes sense.
Yep.
They were very prolific for a few years.
Yeah, because then in what was it? Even the one after that, Warning?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean Warning I believe came out in 98, 99. I think 98 actually.
It says 2000.
Okay.
Really?
According, I'm just going according to Apple Music. So is it right?
They know better than me. So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, they put out Shenanigans that had like all their.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
B-sides and stuff like. Yeah, they were like just pumping stuff out.
You really did go mental for Green Day, huh?
Oh, yeah, I was a Green Day. I mean, I'm a Green Day fan.
I mean, I'm definitely a fan, but I'm not on your level.
I haven't been hardcore on them basically after American Idiot. So it's been a while. It's been a couple decades of rough, but I am excited about the new album.
Yeah, it sounds like kind of a return to form after that last one was a little out there. It was, and that's the weird thing is I'm also a Green Day weirdo, so I get into all the side projects. Like, do you guys know about like Foxborough Hot Tubs and all that stuff? It's like, so they've got plenty of side projects like that, which is what made me wonder why Father of All Motherfuckers was
why was
not
that
a side project thing. It seemed like if you've got all these other venues, then why don't you just plug it into one of them? But they're Green Day, they can do whatever they want. So but and it just seemed
the experimenting and stuff. Like Foo Fighters I love to death. They've done some stuff that I'm like not as into, experimental, but
like the DGs.
No, I mean like a couple of their albums like I didn't get into very much.
Okay.
Like they just weren't even the what's the one that I've been watching the documentary series again on the one with the cities and stuff. I appreciate watching the documentary series. I appreciate the stories and the songs much more than I do listening to the album, but so like I can appreciate some experimental, but that was just I could not get into that last Green Day album at all.
And it was funny because I just put like everything on my Apple Music on shuffle earlier today, and something from that came on, and I was like, "What the fuck am I listening to?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, never mind, gotcha." It's not like it's terrible. It's just
if it was another band, I wouldn't listen to it, but I probably wouldn't think much of it.
Yes,
since it's Green Day, I'm like, this is horse shit. What the fuck?
I'd say that I was super into them until Warning, and then I enjoyed American Idiot, but they definitely got kind of almost too polished, like at a certain point, and I still loved it, but it was different. It wasn't that same.
21st Century Breakdown had like a song that I liked, and that was it. And after that, I was I didn't even check out like what Uno, Dos, and Tres. The radio one
did,
too?
But it was. Those were a little rough because it was almost like listening to the Kiss solo albums. It was just like, it was interesting but different, And it was like, I think what got me is in between Warning and American Idiot, I guess they had a whole album in the can, and the masters got stolen.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, wow!
So it makes you wonder if we would have had this, like Ty Warren version of Billy Joe Armstrong that came out for American Idiot versus, who knows what that album was. Maybe it was very close to American Idiot, but I'd like to think it would have been a little more fun and punky. And it's like, what were you going to say, Chuck?
Well, I was going to say, it does feel like there's almost like a missing link between those two albums. Because if you listen to Warning is very experimental. They're playing with the mandolin and they're doing all sorts of different. And I was there for it. I dug that whole album, Misery, I
absolutely loved that album, and I like a lot of people pan that one. I thought that was fabulous.
Yeah,
to me, it's their Pinkerton.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
I couldn't get enough of that one.
Yeah, no, I love that album, but then American Idiot comes out and I'm like, how do you get from that to that?
Exactly.
And so I wonder what that middle step, I feel like there is some kind of missing link in there that took us from one place to the other. Because of course, American Idiot was also fairly political. A lot of it was, kind of going after Bush Jr. at the time and all that kind of stuff. And so it's funny, like, how did we get from one to the other? Where is there some kind of 2001, 2002 thing that would have been some kind of step? Yeah.
And it also makes you wonder, is part of it just that they were just like, well, fuck this. These people, if somebody's going to abscond with our shit, then, there's got to be a little bit of heartbreak and anger that goes along with that. maybe they were like, I'm going to make the opposite of this album that we had coming out. Fuck this, who knows? But it's interesting to think about that. And there's probably an article out there that I could have Googled to prepare for this show better that would have answered that question. But but instead, I'm just going to fucking randomly conjecture.
Conversations.
Exactly, right?
You can Google everything and never talk to anybody again.
Oh, that's an option? Oh, let's see ya.
I was going to say, Chuck hangs up and we're done. Shit. We gave him permission. It's okay.
Yeah, right? Bad call. Come on, Eric. You're smarter than that.
Another one of my favorites on the demos, though, back to the demos, is Tired of Waiting, the Kinks cover. That was cool. I think that was on the Shenanigans album, maybe. Like, I know I've heard that. Or maybe I have a 7-inch of it, but
I think 7 inches a little. I don't know if it's quite 7.
And the also there's a couple other old, like, previous album songs that were demos that was kind of interesting because I know they were kind of pulling together like all their songs and trying to come up with like what's going to be a hit. And I think Welcome to Paradise, I think, was the only one that made it from a previous album in the end.
I think so.
I think it might have been. But they 409 and Your Coffee Maker was a really old one of theirs that they had a demo for.
I forgot about that one. Yep.
And then what was the other one? This is riveting. Riveting right now.
Let's Google it.
Christy Road was her Plunk song also. So that was, the demos were really interesting. Like it's kind of like have you seen that? Either one of you guys seen the Beatles documentary from the White Album?
Not yet, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Like, being a fly on the wall would have been really fun I think that would be fun for any album. Like I've been in studios when like bands were recording before, and it's really not that interesting. So it's kind of funny that I would love to be a fly on the wall, but really you're just sitting there listening to somebody play the same fucking guitar riff for 3 days straight, trying to perfect it. Like,
yeah, but these documentaries take all these small interesting moments, or even at the time uninteresting, and put them together to make it interesting. Yeah. So it would be nice to be a fly on the wall during the cool moments.
Yeah.
Yep. And I get the feeling
you're just a fly, and that sucks.
Yeah, like Dr. Dre talks about the first time he sat down with Eminem, and he talks about how he put on the first song and right away and was already in there, and that's how they got My Name Is, and that's an interesting story. But you got to know that they were in that friggin' place for 9 hours, and so much shit was probably cut and thrown away and just terrible, and that's fine. But at least we get that one little 2-minute story.
Yeah. I think it was the producer of the album. I started reading the booklet a little bit, and he was just saying, he's like, we got great guitar sounds, and Billy Joe busted out all of his vocals in 2 days. And he's like, it was amazing. And he said the one problem we ran into more than anything else was the guitars and the bass going out of tune. But he's like, I've never seen anyone hit the strings as hard as those guys do when they were in the studio. He's like, it was insane. We had to keep retuning everything. And I thought that was kind of an interesting little detail like that. And I just get the Dookie bags.
The Dookie bags. That's funny. Collecting your dog poop.
Which makes you wonder how many people will use these Dookie bags.
I don't really know what to do with them, but I don't want to use them for that.
I know.
I love my dog, but they're too good for my dog.
These are above
just bag up some nice collectibles. There you go.
There you go.
This bumper sticker, which feels more Kerplunk than Dookie.
Yeah, it does.
Well, it might have been from still at the merch table during Dookie, though. So
that's true. That's one thing that's cool about listening to the live shows. I haven't listened to the Barcelona one, but I have another 94 concert bootleg, and like it's all old songs. Like you don't get old versions of new songs or anything. It's all like just Dookie and before, and it's kind of cool because most people probably don't play like was it 100 or 1039 slappy hours or whatever, and then Kerplunk. Like those aren't really probably being played very often. So
Yeah.
I mean, some of the some of the
probably do.
Yeah, I was going to say, and some of the
Dookie.
I'm guessing some of the like big fans are going to want to hear a couple of those live if you're like paying good money for it. Because I mean, I remember like some of it, like I said, was just seeing Trey singing like All by Myself and things like that. And there was what was that song off Kerplunk? I'm looking it up. Dominated Love Slave, where he's like, I love feeling dirty, I love feeling cheap. And he's like, I love it when you hurt me, so drive them staples.
We're about to get a copyright strike.
Like,
that's all
right. So it's but it's that kind of stupid ass shit that it's just so much fun to watch them ham it up in those old days. It was just, and it's interesting when you go with somebody that's more of a mainstream fan, because I remember going with my buddy and like they were playing that song and they were Billy Joe turns around and basically pulls his pants all the way down and shows you his whole backside. And, and he was just like I didn't pay good money to see some guy's ass. And I'm like, I did. I think that's fucking hilarious. And I think he should do more. Like, that's exactly what I came here to see, because they're still young and dumb and having a great time. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. So those early days were just like,
No, and I think you mentioned earlier when we were talking that they would play a cover of Knowledge by Op Ivy. And I thought that, oh, look at Chuck. He's got my picture when he goes away.
He just wants to be you. It's okay.
But
that was wonderful. It's like they, and it's funny, they actually said, that's another thing I read in the thing is while that producer was in the studio with those guys, Tim Armstrong came into the studio and just was like, telling them that he was forming Rancid because Operation Ivy had just broken up and that was his big new project. And I was like, Jesus Christ, there was such
that area is just like very prolific.
Yeah, and it was cool too because the producer had said that one of the reasons that Green Day like wanted him in the studio with them was because he had produced one of the latest Muffs albums, and they're one of my absolute favorites. And I was just like, all right, so they obviously had good taste back in the day. So that's good.
Dookie air freshener. I'm curious what it smells like.
I was gonna say, does it smell like Dookie?
Can't really get it through the package.
And you probably don't want to.
I don't know if I want to open it.
I know, right?
You're such a comic nerd. That's great.
I know. Like, well, you've seen me. I have like my whole room of music collectibles and stuff. Like,
no, I know. It's because I think a music fan would be like, oh yeah, I want to see it and smell it and all this. But the comic person is like, mint in bag or nothing.
I've already opened the box. None of this is worth anything anymore.
Well, the funny part is the only thing I thought of when he said he didn't want to open it is like he didn't want his whole house smelling like shit. But it's a risk you take, I guess, if you open that thing.
This one's kind of cool. It's a whole like magnet sheet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. If you want Dookie on your fridge.
I think I just slapped the whole sheet right up there. Because the whole thing has a magnet backing, so.
They have a cutout.
The doggy biplane.
Yeah, you can put it together and fly it. This is kind of cool. I know they listed it as like a coloring sheet, but like I, as an artist, like seeing the like
the lines,
the line work and stuff is really cool. When I was looking for a cover for my blister book, I actually reached out to I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I reached out to the guy that did the Dookie cover, and he never responded. I had reached out to him, and then I had reached out to John Nissen, the MXPX artist, and he actually responded, so I went with that one. But oh, it's like a poster that kind of extends the art. It looks like it's too big, so I'm not gonna. Well,
It could be a fucking banner, man.
Yeah, that's pretty big. It's a little excessive. I don't have space on my wall for that, but that's cool. Then looks like from there it is a book.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Few articles in there, whole bunch of pictures from the recording session and everything.
Yeah, Richie Butcher. That's the guy's name.
Thank you.
Might be Butcher. Yeah, this is cool. It's tons of photos and shit. Yeah, it's funny how controversial the album is. I mean, I guess it's the decision to go mainstream and actually try to make money off of your art. Heaven forbid.
I didn't know anything about the controversy, to be honest.
It happens with every punk band that gets signed by a major label. Like I'm a big Jawbreaker fan. They sold out. Selling out is that's pretty much it. Like just selling out is a no. Trying to make money off of your art.
God forbid.
Yeah, it's like pretty much just controversy amongst the big punk dorks, like, you know.
If any of you people out there who are listening, you have a punk band and you or you have any kind of band and you guys don't want to make money, here's my advice, okay? Just go into comics and then you won't make money. All right? Just do that. Because
you can sell out in comics and you still won't make money.
Yeah. So just go into comics. You'll be fine. You'll never have to deal with that issue at all.
Never have to get out of the red.
If you ever do really amazing, really freaking amazing in comics, you might be able to afford your apartment. So good for you. Congrats. I hope you get to that level of sellout. But yeah, come on, guys. I mean,
even then, like Cullen Bunn is writing like 45 titles a month to make rent. So it's
right. Yeah, right.
It's like, come on, you know. So I think everybody's safe on the not making money thing.
So Chuck, you're a big trivia guy.
I am.
Have you done any research going into this episode, like outside of listening?
I didn't actually do a lot of research. I mostly wanted to try to keep it. I wanted to just kind of go with what we were already working on and just kind of, you know, what I enjoyed about the album and of course any stories like, you know, the camp story and stuff like that.
So I have a trivia question for you then. I don't have other answers to go along with it. I can try to make up some choices.
Multiple choice, yeah.
But the original title for Dookie. Is anybody familiar with the original title for Dookie?
I don't know.
No.
So the band wanted to call the album Liquid Dookie. And it was decided pretty quickly that was not a good title. It was actually I read that it was based on the fact that during their touring, they would all have stomach issues.
Oh, no.
They said it was from rotten food or fast food.
I can imagine those things get dicey pretty quickly. I get it.
I'm betting the Liquid Dookie actually is what made them make the decision to sell out. Like, I don't want to fucking go through a tour where I shit myself every night. So yeah, you know what?
Sign me up.
Okay, yeah, we'll take the album. Let's do this.
Yeah, but I mean, how long till you can still? I mean, I guess is that your way of gauging if you've made it? Is you're now a solid Dookie band? So I guess that's when you've made it. Solid.
So many jokes, and I'm just not gonna. I'm just not gonna do it because we'll go down the toilet.
Dookie started down the toilet. So they have the original in here. They have the demos and the outtakes. They're all just different color variations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Woodstock
logo
'94. Woodstock '94 was actually released on Record Store Day a handful of years ago, and I'm pretty sure that's the exact same cover from that one.
That's what I was wondering, how different it was from the original release.
I could go grab mine and take a look, and then
Looks
Barcelona.
And Barcelona looks like it might have been a candy corn release. So.
Right? Yeah, it does look like candy corn.
I was like, what does he mean? But yeah, that's great.
Actually, I'm gonna go grab my other one because I think that it might be a little bit different.
Let's just be completely silent while he's gone, just to like make this all super uncomfortable.
Very interesting. I will just delete this part.
As long as you're not pitching being totally naked when it gets back. So.
Okay, so not totally, but hear me out.
Hear me out here. I've got a ball bag on underneath this.
So I've got. I just bought some new tube socks, and.
Yeah, no, it's the same. It's the same cover.
What's that? Different cover?
Same cover. This is the original.
Okay.
And that's the
revamp.
Yeah. So I guess I can put that one on eBay.
So now the thing is that like as you were listening to the album, I'm sure that there was, it would be like, oh, that's my favorite track. No, this is. Do you have one now that you find you stick to more than the rest? Like, is there an album or a song on there that just it's probably going to be your go-to now? 30 years later.
I've always kind of put this album on. Like, it's not like I revisited it after.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, FOD has always from the beginning. I mean, you're just a fuck. I can't explain it, but I think you suck. Like, you can't beat those lyrics.
No.
Yeah, that one's been it.
Yeah, I don't know. They're all pretty great, but
yeah.
I
don't know why, but there's something about She that I just keep going back to.
That one's actually kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I liked how immature they were, I liked the hidden track of All by Myself because it was so indicative of. Granted, I shouldn't make that my favorite because it's not really kind of a snapshot of what that album's about. But that's exactly why
it's kind of a snapshot of what the album's about. It's just not. Doesn't sound like the album.
But it's not up to the caliber of the rest of the music for sure. But it's tough because I listened to it so much that a lot of the main tracks that I would have called my favorites back in the day, I've listened to so many times over the years that it's hard to go back and say that, they're my favorite now. So I like the weird ones.
I think that track, though, is also very indicative of where a lot of punk was and was going at the time. There was kind of a lot of less, especially in the mainstream, a lot less of the sort of angry political punk, and it was a lot of fun. we were getting things like The Offspring. We were getting Blink-182. We were just even like a lot of those bands. A lot of the punk bands that came out of the '90s ended up, especially the ones that went big. It was about the fun.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's part of what was written up about in the book was at this time, like they said, a lot of this was on Warner Brothers. And I think the guys, like the label had said, like, we're looking for something that's going to take us out of this. Like, we like the grunge stuff, but it's really dark and heavy in a lot of the ways. So we'd like to kind of start getting into a little more fun arena. And somebody put this tape on his desk and he was like, you want to hear something that, he's like, fuck, man, we need to sign these guys like right now if you want something fun and different from what's out there right now. And I think that's when it was suddenly okay to be happy and fun for a little while. And I think it changed the landscape because, like we said, like Offspring, stuff like that all came out, and it was the changing of the guard a little bit, and it was just a ton of fun. So
it was music that you could listen to in your room with the lights on.
Yep. Yeah, you weren't trying to necessarily work through something with it. You were just like, okay, I can work through it, but it's going to just be because it made me happy to listen to this. Yeah, it was great.
And a lot of the themes weren't that different than the grunge stuff. It was just sounded happy.
Yeah,
exactly.
And like wasting
and that was
time.
Yeah, and that was the fun part about, because that was also around when, like, the third wave ska stuff came out and things like that. And it was like, it was the same kind of thing. You listen to any Real Big Fish song from back then, and they're just angry all the time, but it sounds so happy with horns. Yeah. So it was just that kind of thing. Exactly. You can cover the same material, but still be happy about it and smiling. So it's like, you can eat shit and die. It's like it, but it was great.
I'm very musical tonight.
Apparently that one can of beer really fired me up. So I'm good.
Yeah.
Party. I'm over here sipping on some Gatorade. Oh.
And then the lull hit.
Yeah. Now let's turn off the lights and listen to our grunge albums again.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, Eric was talking about he has a laser light show machine at his house. He should turn on some Green Day and the thing, and then we can just have a good time and party.
Chuck's been in my rock lounge.
Oh yeah. We had a great time.
I got the laser lights hooked up. When you're in town in a few months, I'll set up the laser lights and stuff, and we'll just sit back and
drink the lights at the planetarium. That'd be fucking great.
Yeah. What's funny is that it's like all these dots like going around, which the cats loved. And then there's some making shapes and stuff, and then all of a sudden there's like snowflakes, and like you can't like not have snowflakes, and they're just really weird.
It's really great to have a kind of trippy, groovy rock lounge room created by a guy who doesn't do drugs. Like, you go in there and I'm like, man, I would really like to smoke right now. And he's like, oh yeah, I don't
when I was creating that room in my house, I was like, I described it to people as the room that you would go to smoke weed.
Yeah.
I don't, but this is where you would do it.
The only thing it's missing is beanbag chairs.
I have beanbag chairs in the garage.
Wait,
there you go.
But is there a lava lamp?
No, I do not have a lava lamp.
Well, there you go. All right, you need a lava lamp too. So that's okay. We won't fault you.
I don't know, next August or something, I got tickets for the upcoming Green Day tour. And that one is celebrating Dookie's 30th and what is it, 20th or whatever of American Idiot.
Good Lord. Has it been that long since American Idiot? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, expect the box set for that next year. I'm
Yeah,
here
that
for
one I
it.
don't think I need as much, but
Right? I was like, you guys can do that one without me, thanks.
I do love that album, but
it was a great album. It was just
Yeah.
it was just so polished, and I think I liked them when they were just sloppy bass lines and fun. It was just
Yeah.
I agree with that too. Like that when you shared that link to me earlier of that Smoking Popes deal on Asian Man Records, where it's like $12 a album.
Yep.
They're all good albums, but like the one, or actually two of those are like their first, and
Yep.
like I could just put those on and just it's loud, it's fast, it's the recording quality isn't amazing, and it's just some of the best shit. Like,
And that's to me, that's the only difference I notice in a lot of bands when they get bigger is like it. Sometimes they've got the same energy, but people, they get into a recording studio and suddenly those the fingers sliding down the frets and stuff like that gets like edited out and things like I like to hear that kind of stuff. I like those little dopey touches like that sounds like you're there in the room with them, like in the recording studio. So,
Actually, Green Day held on to that kind of stuff and even put some of that stuff in their songs for a couple of albums after this. Even like was it Good Riddance? It had at the very beginning, it's him trying to play the fuck, and then he's able to start and play it again. But man. So
yeah, and like I said, I think honestly they were really good about that, and they kept it up till I think Warning was where it dropped off, because I think American Idiot just became that polished era where they really went for that kind of almost orchestral sound on some of it, and some of it was fabulous. It just wasn't as Green Day to me.
Yeah,
and I saw, we took my nephews to see the play or musical or whatever, the American Idiot show, and it was actually really good. But it was it's definitely a different experience, So it's.
I mean, I think it probably happens to a lot of bands. Like, I mean, even like I'm a metal guy. Metallica, they ended up doing that Symphony album, the S&M album, and I think eventually what it is like, I've eaten an awful lot of fucking fast food. I've eaten all of the fast foods, and now someone's willing to pay for me to go to a really nice restaurant and have like $100 steak. Let's do that. What the fuck is that like? They may not love it, but they're sure as shit gonna eat it. So yeah, I mean, eventually you get the opportunity, and you're like, you know what? I don't even care if the fans like it or not. I already made my money. What is it going to look like if we're able to play with this shit?
And I 1,000,000% support anything a band wants to do. If they're evolving and they want to go do something like that, I'm all there for it. It's just, at some point I might just lose attention a little bit, but it's like, to me, I was all there for when Metallica was like, I'm going to say something controversial. I thought Load and Reload were fine because that was what the band wanted to do at the time. And it's like, it was almost when the fans told them, no, you're not doing it right, be Metallica again. And they sounded like a Metallica cover band trying to come back from it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you enjoyed what you were doing in the studio and it came through. You still had that joy of like songwriting. And it's like, then it just sounded like, what am I doing? I'm a Metallica cover band now. And it's like, no.
I think for me, I'm like, look, go do whatever you're going to do. I don't have to be there for it. Exactly. You know what I mean? So you go enjoy yourself. Did I like Load and Reload? I did not at all. But that's okay. I don't have to. As long as you guys are liking it and other people are digging it and buying it, who gives a fuck?
And that's how I've been with Green Day. Like I love Green Day. I've heard things I didn't like from them, and I've never said, "Oh, Green Day sucks now." Like they don't.
No, it's just a different era of Green Day.
I've never said that they suck out loud.
Yeah, that's not what I want to listen to, so I don't listen to it. But
yeah,
no, but they've had so many different incarnations over the years, and like I said, I enjoy all their little side projects, like we said, Foxborough Hot Tubs, Pinhead Gunpowder, like the Network. I
just got one.
I
think it's called the Upside Downs. It's them. They were being a cover band. So they have 4 tracks they recorded live.
Oh, cool! I'd like to hear that too. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, I'll dig it up on Discogs and send it to you. It's pretty cool. I just listened to that one the other day when I was going
Nice.
through my records.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and Pinhead Gunpowder, like I love them just as much as I love Green Day. Like,
I honestly I really dig the Foxborough Hot Tubs thing. It's
yeah,
got
that
that
was cool.
retro sound, that like kind of 60s garage kind of sound to it. And it just I loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't anything, brand new. They weren't breaking new ground, but it sounded so like they were having so much fun making it that it was, yeah, that's what I like to hear is a band
What's the other
having a
one
good time.
What's the other one where they were pretending to be another band?
Was it The Network? Or
Yeah,
that was the one they sounded kind of Devo-ish. And I really enjoy that too. I think they're a lot of
that was
fun.
Yeah. No, they've had a lot of good side projects to go along with their career. That's why I did not understand that last fucking album.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, all you had to do was make it,
call it
they
something
could've
else.
called
I might have bought it, listened to it once, and never heard it again.
Yeah.
Now it's Green Day.
themselves the father of all motherfuckers, and that could have been their side project, and that could have been just fine, But no, again, they can make whatever the hell they want, and I'm still gonna listen. I'm like Chuck said, I might decide to not listen twice, but I'll still happily support them. So
That one, it said a lot to me that when I saw them on that tour a couple of years ago, they didn't play a single song from it.
Wow.
Their album had just come out in the last year, and they didn't play a single song from it.
So they obviously got some feedback, I'm guessing.
One last bit of trivia before we're done. Does anybody? This is like super old trivia. Know the original Green Day band name?
I know it.
Oh, shit. I did too. I'm not remembering right now, but I did know it.
Changing the name was a very good idea.
Sweet Children.
Yep. It was kind of a funny name. I mean,
And that was a song on one of the first two albums too. They had a song called
Green Day was actually a song on their first album, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were just trying out band names as all their song titles. Like, we need a theme song. So,
All right.
You know why they picked Green Day, right?
because they were smoking a lot of dope.
Well, yeah, it's basically a good day is a Green Day for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. It's been fun, but I got to get away from you guys.
All right then. And the honesty button kicks in.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And thank you guys for being available today.
Yep. Thank you for
Glad to do it.
Catch everybody later.
Hey, you made it through an entire episode. Good for you. If you're looking for more, give the rest of the channel a look. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We'll catch you fuckers next time. Later.
Muckspout.